Now for a fellow Texan. You guys are, Texas is blessed.
We just show up.
Texas is really blessed. It's been great getting to know Governor Perry over the past few years. He's as warm and engaging as a guy I've ever met in any field, quite frankly. He truly cares about people and the American people. And so, Governor Perry, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think I'm going to use this one instead. You can keep that one. I'm on. Matt, thank you very much. God bless you, brother. You know, we got two Texans on the stage here. And it kind of reminds me, right? There were a couple of South Carolinians that came to Texas back when we needed them. James Butler Bonham and William Barrett Travis. As my friends from South Carolina will tell me on a pretty regular basis, says, boy, you need to understand something. Hadn't been from South Carolina, there wouldn't be no Texas. Nikki reminds me of that on a pretty regular basis. And we had a great relationship. We had a real competition between the state of Texas and South Carolina over the course of the last few years. And I guess we still are. We're going to play a little football this fall again. But the fact is, it's a pleasure to get back in this state, to be here with people that I feel a real kinship with, people who understand that the future of America is bright. If there's one story I want to share with you, if there's one message I want to leave with you tonight, is that the best days of America are in front of us. And I want to share with you why. I believe this with all my heart. As sure as the sun comes up in the east tomorrow, the best days in this country's future are in front of us. Now, there's a little pessimism in the country today, and I understand that. You think about 1 out of 10 of our citizens are out of work or underemployed or just giving up hope of finding a job. 1 out of 5 of the children in this country live in a home that are on food stamps. You know, the president may be satisfied with around 2% job growth, but I'm not. We can do better than this. I know we can do better than this. And I'm pretty simplistic about this. I tell folks, I said, listen, we're only a couple of good decisions and a leadership change at the top and the best days in this country's future. And I want to share with you just quickly what I mean about and what our future is inextricably intertwined with our energy. And I'm talking about North America. Senator Graham, when you look at where we are in the world today, Canada, the United States, and Mexico, we've got this extraordinary natural resources in this region. I mean, we've got more known reserves in that region than Saudi Arabia and Russia. And we got a president of the United States that wants to veto the XL pipeline. We could be creating jobs all across this country with the opening up of our energy resources. That's where we need to be focused in this country, creating those jobs. And I'm not just talking about the jobs that get created from building the pipeline. I'm talking about the massive amount of jobs that get created with the result of us using our energy resources in this country. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. When you think about what can happen, driving down and I'm talking all of the above energy policy here. If it's energy made in the United States and North America, we need to be using it. Driving down the cost of electricity. And we know what happens, Senator Scott, when we drive down that cost of electricity. You couple that with corporate tax policy that drives down that corporate tax rate. Not only does it raise mid-level wages, and every blue-collar worker in America ought to be looking at people like me and looking at people like Reince and looking at people like these two senators here and saying, I'm going to vote for those Republicans because they're going to get my wages up. Because that's what we're about. We're going to do that in this country. Blue-collar workers are going to be for us, Reince, because nobody else is talking about them. You drive down those electricity costs, you incentivize to bring those manufacturers back into this country that we've driven offshore with high taxes. You lower that electricity cost, and we will see the extraordinary renaissance of manufacturing in America like we've never seen before in our lives. That's what the future of this country can be. We're just a couple of good decisions away and a leadership change at the top and the best days that this country's ever seen. Economically, that's the power of what this country can do. And then I don't think there's anybody in this country that knows foreign policy any better than Lindsey Graham. I'll just tell you that straight up. You all are fortunate to have this man serve you in the United States Senate. And he knows something that all of us know. He realizes that there's a little pessimism going on outside the bounds of the United States right now. You think about what's happening. You think about what we've seen in Libya, in Egypt. You think about how Israel's been treated. Our greatest friend, the most vibrant democracy in the Middle East, is treated by this administration. We look at Syria and we realize that we had the opportunity to stop ISIS in that country by funding the Syrian rebels. But no, this president wanted to step back. Not only could we have gotten rid of the ISIS at that particular point in time, I'll suggest to you we got rid of Assad. But this president took a step back. And the result of that was ISIS moving into Iraq, into northern Iraq. And at that time, we had the opportunity to stop them. We could have funded with lethal weaponry those Peshmerga fighters in that part of the world. They're fighting for their families. They're fighting for their home. We could have destroyed ISIS at that particular point in time, but not this president. Took a hands-off approach. And today, ISIS controls a greater swath of land in the Middle East than the entirety of the United Kingdom combined. That's what we are facing. And while all that was happening, there was somebody watching that. Libya and Egypt, Syria. The president of Russia. And he realized that he could go into and annex that Crimea, and he could go into Ukraine. He wouldn't have anything to face. That's where we find ourselves today. Now, there's a little pessimism in the world, but I'll suggest to you that too can be turned around in a hurry. Because you know what I think we are, where we are right now? It reminds me of 1979. In 1979, America was on its back. We had a president of the United States that had embargoed our wheat going to Russia. He had boycotted the Olympics. Our embassy had been taken over in Iran. We had 20% interest rates. We had the lowest participation in the workforce in practically modern history at that particular point in time. America was on its back. In 1979, that's where we found ourselves. And then a short 10 years later, the Berlin Wall fell, Soviet communism was defeated because we had a president that understood that when America's strong, the world is safer. And I think that's what America's looking for again, a president that's got a vision of this country that will drive us economically, where we can be the strong power in the world again. A power that influences what's going on in the world. Bring that military back with the resources from a strong economy. And America can be America again. I will suggest to you that's the vision for this country. That's what Americans are begging for. We're just a few good decisions away and a leadership change at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make that leadership change happen. Let's make America America again. God bless you, South Carolina. We'll see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, for that. Now, our Gamecocks had a little trouble last fall with the Aggies, but I think maybe next fall we'll get our acts together. I sure hope, and we'll win that trophy